Keaggy in the Sunlight. Blessed be the tides from the Sunday's Child release. Here on Sunlight 780 WABS. Want to remind you once again, Phil Keaggy is going to be live at the studios of WABS tonight at 6:30. He'll be talking about his music and his concert at White World tomorrow. Be listening tonight at 6:30 for Phil Keaggy, live from the studios of WABS. Music continues in the Sunlight. Russ Taff on WABS.
I'm Dawn Dicker, and I'm talking with Phil Keaggy.
Oh, no, can you hear it?
Hello, Dawn.
Hello, Phil.
Hello, everybody down here in Washington and Virginia and Maryland and everybody else. Hello.
Phil's sitting here with his guitar in his lap. No, that's not me playing the guitar. You're hearing it and saying, "Can Dawn play guitar?" Well,
yeah, I'll give you a call.
And he's talking and playing at the same time. Phil, you're not a stranger to the East Coast. You lived in, well, Ohio, sort of Midwest, but
yes.
You lived in upstate New York for a while, so you're not a stranger to this area at all. So tell a little bit, to give a background. Usually 6 to 7 is kind of our oldies hour.
Okay.
And what I'd like to do is
concentrate. Me, I suppose, isn't it?
Well, you've been around longer than, you know, you've kept your popularity longer and have been doing things. Your creativity has continued to develop.
Oh, you don't have to explain.
Well, it's true. Honest, it's true.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is talk a little bit first about some of your older songs and just some of your background.
Okay.
And first of all, I want to mention, in case anybody in the D.C. area doesn't know it yet, that Phil will be at Wild World tomorrow, and he'll be playing 3 different shows, and the first show will be at 1:30, and the seating is limited, so we encourage people to come and get in the 1:30 show, and there'll be another one at 3 and another at 4:30, so you can call 249-1500 for ticket information for Wild World.
Yeah.
And now what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about the beginning of how everything started as far as your contemporary Christian music career. You were first with the group Glass Harp, and I know you've told the story many times, but tell a little bit.
Tell it for me, will you?
Well, that's okay. It sounds better coming from you.
Okay, Don. I was in a group called Glass Harp in the late 60s, early 70s, and we began the group in 68, and by the time 1970 rolled around, I was at the height of searching, at the height of, was sort of on the caboose of the Woodstock generation, you could say, and involved with all that means, I didn't go skinny dipping in lakes, people's property and things like that. I didn't do that, no. But I did delve in the world of drugs for about a year and a half, and it's a very disillusioned world. It is. It's dark. It doesn't really. The enlightenment pretty much turns on you, I would have to say. But it left me empty and really looking for something real, really real. And what happened on Valentine's Day of 1970 was February 14th. I was down playing in Maryland, actually at a college down here, and my mom was in a car accident that day, and the accident took her life. 2 weeks later, I through the whole process of grieving, of facing the whole issue of death and dying, and the eternal, our family struggling with the loss of our mother, and my oldest sister had shared the gospel with me in a personal way, a way I'd never really heard it before. And perhaps it's because I was never receptive as I had become through this. The Bible says that the Lord is near to those who are broken in heart and who have a contrite spirit. That means you're down, and He draws near to those who are down. He's got an eye out for those who know they can't help themselves, and He's got a heart for those who are in need of healing, but He can't really help those who are feeling, well, I've got it all together. He said, I did not come to call the righteous, but the sinners to repent, and I did not come to call the healthy, or it's the sick who need a physician, He says. And if everyone would just be honest, and I came to grips with being honest with myself and with God, I was sick without the Lord, spiritually and emotionally, and I'm still being healed as time goes on, you know what I'm saying? It's not like all of a sudden, I'm better, goodbye, thanks Lord, I'll see you next time around in the next galaxy. But it's I need the Lord every day.
It's a process where he takes you by the hand.
That's right. You know, he's the shepherd, and I'm grateful for that. And that's when my life changed as a result of receiving Christ into my life, and he gave me a purpose and a hope. And I think hope is an important word because there's so many people who are dying without hope today. Jesus is the hope
It's true.
that they're looking for.
Tell a little bit about What a Day. I guess it was that hope you wanted to let people know about that made you record that first Christian album.
Yes. Okay, I left Glass Harp in 72 after having been a Christian for nearly a year and a half or so. And I just felt it was time to go out. And that during the process of working with the group, I'd written all these intimate, simple songs, the ones that ended up on What a Day. And in January of 1973, I went into a small studio in Cleveland, Ohio, and recorded in about 5-6 days' time this album called What a Day. And I just played all the instruments, you know, and did the vocals. And the engineer, Gary Hedden, he and his wife came to the Lord through that experience of working together. And it was like, so it was a really great experience for him, one he'll never forget. As a matter of fact, I just worked with Gary recently on the Compassion All-Star Band live album that we did for Compassion. He was the engineer for the festivals that we played at, that we recorded these.
Oh, that's neat. That's quite a legacy there going through the years.
And that's quite a jump from 1970 to 1989. Thank you very much. It's a short story, but it has heart. Thank you. Goodbye.
What I'd like to do is play the title song from the album What a Day. That is from 1973. Isn't that when that was came out?
It was recorded in 73 and it came out in 74. And yeah, things take time sometimes when you're starting out.
So here it is, What a Day.
Be patient.
I'm talking with Phil Keaggy here at WABS. Phil will be in concert tomorrow at Wild World. You're one of the few artists that have been with contemporary Christian music back since it was Jesus music. Do you ever feel nostalgia for the old days?
Yes, I do. I really do. I want to be true with you. I do. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I was on a roll, and I got off of it, thankfully.
We can continue singing.
No. No. You're talking about Veteran Days again here. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Well, back in 1970, when this happened to me, as a result of my sister sharing the Lord with me, I didn't know about Christian music because at the time, the kind of music that was with a message for Christian, message was just regular artists out there who were just singing out of their hearts. There wasn't the institution of or the business of Christian record companies. In the industry, that's the word. Thank you. There were just artists, and some had this to say, and some had that to say. And other people had other things to say. And remember when Paul and the album Noel Paul Stuckey, he had that album, his first solo album, had a song called Sebastian, and there was some, because he had a real life-changing experience with Jesus, and a wonderful man, by the way, from Peter, Paul, and Mary. Some of you old-timers may remember them, but his album was one of the first albums I heard that really, found a place in my heart. And then Love Song came out with their first album, and when I heard Love Song's first album, I thought, here's a group of guys who are really doing it, and they're committed to the Lord, and they're making music that I can relate to. And that's at the time I left the Glass Harp. Then I said, someday I'm going to have a Christian band. That was a dream of mine back then, it really was. I couldn't think of anything more enjoyable than playing music that you had fun with, you enjoyed, you can be artistic with, and get across a meaning, a message with a meaning for people who were or are in the exact same place I was at, looking for answers.
Doing something you can believe in for someone you can believe in.
Yeah, because, music is a big part of all our lives. And sometimes I want to listen to music without any strong message. You know, I like all kinds of music. I don't just listen to Christian music either. I like classical, I like jazz, I like certain kinds of rock, certain kinds of pop. I like certain kinds of folk, you know. I like all kinds of music. I think it's important to keep an open mind. You don't have to order everything on the menu, you know. And you don't have to take everything personally. But music is an artistic expression of where a person is and who they are creatively. And I like the kind of musicianship I listen for in music where someone is really honestly being an artist and not just doing it because it's going to sell records or it's a fad or it's a trend or something.
Or if you had to draw the line there, knowing that, say a certain song might work well for radio, but it may not be quite the thing that's in your heart, how do you draw the line there?
Well, I've been one of those, I suppose, obstinate sort of artists, you know, very artistically self-willed, if you will. But the way it's been with me is I've never been very commercial as a writer. I never saw myself as very much of a commercial writer. I get an inspiration or I get a motivation for a certain kind of song, and I just jump into it. And I've also been an artist that has had a great deal of enjoyment in a variety of styles, from acoustic to electric music, and that, you know, instrumental music and vocal music, all styles. In terms of coming up with music that I think is going to work for radio, I've only been successful on a limited basis. I think there was like I Will Be There, which was a great song, I thought, really a heartfelt song, that something that people can latch onto and identify with, and yet it didn't have good distribution and it didn't have any promotion. So anyway, or you can have a record company like Myrrh Records, which is a great record company, and an album like Sunday's Child, and get some airplay on it. It's something for everybody, no matter what kind of station you are. Like you were mentioning, Talk About Suffering, and I mind if I get personal here? Thank you. And Blessed Be the Ties, which incidentally I love both those songs. As a matter of fact, Talk About Suffering. Mind if I change the channel here?
Not at all.
Okay. Talk About Suffering, I learned from a John Renbourn group album. It was like an album of a collection of English folk songs. And Talk About Suffering was on there in a cappella. I listened to it and I loved it, and I thought, I'd love to. So I went and did a demo of it in my little back room, and my producer Lynn Nichols liked it. He said, let's record this. And I said, yeah, I kind of hear it kind of like Birds, you know, Holly's kind of a flavor to it, you know, harmonies, 12 strings and all. And it came out that way. And so what happened was, here's a great song that most American Christians probably never heard of, and record on this album, and they get to hear it.
That's neat.
That's neat, you know, thanks to you.
Getting
the
back,
program director.
changing the channel again, like a good program director.
Yes.
Back once again to the earlier times, Love Broke Through was one of the big breakthrough songs, you might say, for your music, as far as getting really wide recognition and so forth. Can you tell a little bit about that song?
Yeah. Song is a very special song. I mean, it is a classic, and it's not because I had anything to do with it. I was privileged to be the first artist to record it. Actually, Keith Green did record it as a demo, but I was able to be a part of that demo with him. I played guitar and sang with him on that demo in about the month of May 1976. And he had recently written the song, and Buck Herring, who produced the Love Broke Through album, who is also the producer of the second chapter of Acts, he produced Love Broke Through and invited me to meet with Keith. Actually invited Keith over to his house. He said, Keith, come on over, I'd like you to meet someone. And so we met, and he bounced in the front door, as was his custom, and his hair was just flopping with joy, and it was quite an experience, really, to see him coming through the door, and that's what he was. And of course, Buck did not have to twist Keith's arm to sit down to the piano and sing anything. He just goes, hey, I just wrote this today, listen to this, and boom, there it is. And Buck said, hey, play Love Broke Through for Phil. Of course, the title is Your Love Broke Through. And he sat there, and I listened to it, and I just loved it, especially hearing it coming out of Keith's heart, you know, and through his voice. And Buck said, I'd really like to ask you to consider recording this for this album. I think it would be good for you. I said, yeah, sounds great to me. Keith wrote the song with Randy Stonehill and their friend Todd Fishkind. So it's a great song, and many people have recorded that song over the years. I, like I said, was privileged to be the first to record it, and Michael Lamardian did the string arrangements for it. Second Chapter sang on it. Mylon Lefevre sang on that. And also during the week that we were doing the vocals, and Mylon Lefevre came out to sing on the Love Broke Through album, he was really struggling with Christianity. He was not in the Lord yet. He'd come from a family where they all sang gospel songs and everything. But I think, for the most part, I saw Mylon Lefevre in tears that week, while we were working on that album. God was just really dealing. The Holy Spirit was really working in his heart. And he, oftentimes when we'd get together, we see each other in passing. He says, I never forgot that week, that I was out there with Buck and you and everything, and Annie. And so, I think the song Love Broke Through has affected us all in a very wonderful way. Not only in the recording of it and how it's been a blessing to so many hearts. Keith has recorded it, Randy's recorded it, Debbie Boone's recorded it, and even an Australian artist recorded it and had a hit record in Australia with it, but then the night that Keith was in that tragic airplane crash that took his life, I remember singing that song in a church in Kansas City, and of course I didn't know about the accident, but it was early evening, and when I went to sing that song, I felt such an anointing from the Lord upon it. And I felt this warmth inside of me, and I felt this is the truth, sort of a bitter, sweet sadness, joy thing at the same time. I couldn't quite explain. But I did a whole list of songs that night, and it was only Love Broke Through that really stood out. And when I was finished with it, from my recollection, the audience was really calm, and there was a real peace. And I walked home. Well, I drove home. And I walked in my back door, and my wife said to me, Keith was just killed. And that was the night that I did that. And I'll never forget that. And so what's in a song? Like they say, what's in a name? It's because it was started with the heart of God. That song, I think, came to those brothers who wrote that song as a gift. Not that it's the greatest song in the world, but to me it is certainly one of the most appreciated, and it is a classic in my opinion.
On that note, let's hear the song Love Broke Through.
Yeah, that's their fundraiser.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have one, they have a James Taylor does the same thing.
That's great.
And they have a James Taylor night, when they're raising money in Beautiful and Mary, and there's someone else that they have. It's really, you like David Fogelberg?
I think he's really great. I'm not I should really sit down and listen.
It's only one of his albums that I really, really like. It's that double album, Nexus, where the leader of the band is on.
Oh yeah, that's great. It's a great song.
Several of the songs are really nice. One for the Roses.
I can tell that Michael Card, it seems like he's been influenced by
yeah,
that.
I think so. Even though he doesn't, in talking to him, he says yes, but he doesn't quite want to talk about it too much.
Yeah.
But obviously, some of his style stylistically is.
Yeah. I saw him recently interviewed.
The difference. Call now. 1-800-336-7676.
All right, we are in the studio here. Phil Keaggy is going to do something real special for us. We're going to get a live performance of one of his songs. "Spend My Life With You," I believe, is the one we're working on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Just turn your radio up. Real good time. I try to keep singing in tune, so you don't cross the yellow line. No, we don't want to do that, do we, folks? Okay. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, wait. It's just me. I can start anytime I want, can I? I don't have to count the band in. Okay. Lay me down to rest so I can sing it properly. I don't know what's happening. They call it jet lag. Oh, my time's running out. Okay. This is embarrassing. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great privilege to be with you. My name is Brian Duncan.
What we can do, we can go ahead up and talk for another minute and a half.
Oh, then do a
Then
song
we'll play the
later.
news at 7 o'clock, and then we'll come back, and everybody stay tuned to hear the full rendition of "Spend My Life With You" at 7:05.
So stay in tune. You're gonna hear the news. Da-dee-da-da. Hey, I'm wasting time, and you're sitting there just taking it all in. Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. What a way to butcher a song, huh?
Quite a prelude. Okay, how much time do we have left? Okay, we're going to keep on talking here.
Okay.
Tell real quick a little bit about The Master and the Musician, the album.
Well, Master and Musician is an album that I did in 1978, and I went to Chicago to record it without really any music in mind. I just went in the studio. I had a few songs I had ideas for, but I just sat there and made stuff up and added parts to them, then brought friends in to play woodwinds and flutes and things like that on it. And then it's just been re-released by Murr Records, and in February I went in and I recorded a bonus track, and it's called Epilogue Amazing Grace. It's nice and long. It's like 9 minutes long if you want to, put it on and cook dinner.
And it's on cassette and CD now for the first time.
Yes, it is. It is. I'm really happy about that. Laurie, are you trying to sign language?
We're going to the
Sounds
news
like
now. We'll be back.
You're listening to your Christian radio station.
The studios, and he just came off the plane from Los Angeles about an hour and a half ago. Phil will be in concert at Wild World tomorrow, and once again, you can call 249-1500 for ticket information. We're about to have a very special live performance of one of your songs.
Oh, right now? We are?
Yes.
Okay.
And so we can get right to it, so we have time to do it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Don. I don't know how to get serious about this one now. Lay me down to rest. Sing me a sweet lullaby. When will I see you again? Sleep come over me. Can't keep from closing my
Great. Thank you for sharing that with us. You obviously enjoy playing it. It's not just like you're just doing it like a duty. You obviously
I love to play.
love the music.
Yeah, I do. It's what I do best, I think.
And that's what it's like. You almost like you think with your guitar, like you talk while you're playing and so forth, and it's almost like it's an extra part of you.
Sometimes I can feel that. Sometimes I can feel like it's an alien object too. It depends, you know. And but for the times that it's a part of me and we're making music together, it's great, it's special.
Well, sure is special for the people hearing it. That's for sure.
Thanks.
Let's see. Why don't we go ahead and talk real quick about your album Sunday's Child?
Okay.
And the song Talk About Suffering. You talked about it before, but we're going to play it, so why don't you talk about it again?
Okay.
Another aspect of it.
I think we closed the album with Talk About Suffering because if someone's going to sit through the album, and really we wanted the album to appeal to people who liked basically rock and roll, and then as the album came to a conclusion, we're talking about walking in two worlds. You know, we live on earth, but we can be a citizen of heaven. You know, we're walking about on this earth, but we can also be seated with Christ in heavenly places and have an identity with the Lord there. But while we're on earth, the Lord said, you shall have, you know, there'll be tribulation, there'll be persecution, there'll be trials, and there'll be suffering. And everyone at different times goes through a degree and a different experience. And so, like, there are people in many countries of this world who do not have the freedom to openly proclaim Jesus Christ, confess Him, you know, in public, or win souls, or evangelize, or have open meetings, you know, and whatever. And they don't have the freedoms we have here. Some people they don't have political freedom. You know, they can't travel. You know, there's a lot of things, and there are people who are suffering from illnesses and diseases, or they lost someone they loved dearly. There are people right now listening who are suffering deep. They have deep wounds in their hearts, and the song by no means is a cure. It's not. It's just stating a fact. The thing is, we look beyond this life. It's not just here that we go through this and expect it to turn around. Sometimes someone is dying, and the only hope they have is the reality of the hope that there's a living God who cares and really loves them and is waiting for them. And to some people that might sound like, oh, that's trivial, that's religious sounding, that's simplistic, that's pie in the sky, that's all that. But oftentimes I've known people who were dying, they were close friends, who had such a relationship with Jesus that they anticipated their homecoming. And that's when it says, you know, the gospel train is coming, don't you want to go? And the free gift of God is eternal life to everyone who believes and just says, Jesus, I trust you.
Like Paul said, if I believed in Christ in this life only, I am of all men most to be pitied. Paul was really talking about seeing the big picture.
Yes.
And that there's
right.
more to it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So let's hear that song, Talk About Suffering.
Talk about suffering.
Dicker, and I've got Phil Keaggy here in the studios, and we are talking about the concert tomorrow at Wild World and about Phil's music. Right now, the subject has come to Did the music for that album or was it something that kind of evolved over a longer period of time?
Well, actually, some of the songs are really new, you know. It's a real collaboration kind of an album, because I'm not the sole songwriter on the album. I am most of my albums. My producer, he had in mind to help me rewrite some of my songs, so he's involved in the writing of some songs, like I'm Gonna Get You Down. He and I, with Steve Taylor, wrote Blessed Be the Ties. There's one song in there called I've Just Begun, and I wrote that song when I was 17, when I was in high school, and we rewrote words for it, but it's the same melody and chord structure. And so that goes back over the years. I mean, my first demo of it was when I was in high school, and then when Glass Harp did our first demo album that wasn't released, that was on there too. So it's gone through this evolution of crafting through the years. Tell Me How You Feel was fairly new. Sunday's Child, Randy and I wrote just a year or so before this album, but primarily focused in on finishing it up for the album, the title song. And Mark Hurd wrote a couple songs that I think are brilliant songs. I Always Do is a favorite of mine. And Everything Is Alright, which is... Everything Is Alright is a song that basically talks about struggle, and yet you've got a companion standing there with you through it all.
What was it like working with all those guys? You know, Lynn Nichols and Randy Stonehill and Mark Hurd and Russ Taff and all the guys that were in there together. What was it like?
It's great fun. When we did the tracks to the album, we put it all down live as a band. A lot of albums these days start with some sort of sequencer, keyboard thing, or drum machine, and then they just layer on top of it, you know, or track with it. But we did this like a real band would do it, you know. There were 2 guitars and bass and drums going down at the same time, or 3 guitars going down. And then what we only did, we overdubbed some organ bits, you know. There's really no synthesizer on the album per se, except when Everything's Alright. But it was fun with Jimmy Lee from the Imperials, Alwyn Wall from Malcolm and Alwyn sang harmony in one song.
Oh my.
Derry Doherty from the choir sings in there, a couple songs. And these girls in the control room,
Yes.
they're putting up signs that say 1 minute, 2 minutes, and they're laughing all the time.
I think they're laughing because of what you're doing. I just wish this was on video so you could see Phil, but you'll just have to hear him. Anyway, moving along to the idea of the
Yes,
Beatles.
the Beatles.
Whose idea was it to do this, the Beatles kind of feeling and just with the way the whole project was put together?
Well, I would say, like, Tell Me How You Feel, I wrote, you know, and it's got a sort of a Ticket to Ride paperback writer, kind of a Rain kind of a feel to it. I'm a Beatle fan from way back, and so but the album goes beyond just one particular style, Beatlish. It touches on other things. It comes into the 80s a bit. The cover has that 60s band kind of thing with the silhouette band members there in the background. But it just sort of evolved that way. It came out that way. And so we saw it happening, and we just sort of went and ran with it a little bit. And it's kind of like tongue-in-cheek, really. It's not to be taken too seriously. It's just an album cover. As a matter of fact, the album cover I wanted for the album isn't on it. It's a picture of my daughter Olivia with the Gretsch guitar standing up next to her. As a matter of fact, some people have seen that drifting around the country, because I, once in a while, taken them out and putting I've made my own CD inserts up and put them in, sold them that way.
We won't tell anyone.
Oh, Word knows. I pass them out to Word Records, to the executives and everything. Of course, you know, I'm always doing things they don't approve of. But anyway.
Well, we'll be back to hear about more things you do that Word
Okay.
doesn't approve of right after these messages. Bye.
Here's a job opportunity. East West Amoco in Landover Hills, Maryland has an
645-6376. Getting to know you.
We're in the studio here with Phil Keaggy.
We're in the
Dawn
studio
Dicker.
here with Don Dicker, and I'm Phil Keaggy.
Yeah, and
We're co-hosting this program now.
back to you, Phil.
Well, Don, how long have you been in this business? Program directing and all?
Oh, about 10 years, I suppose.
Well, you know, you seem quite seasoned. And I
Well-
thought I'd just let you know, I think you do a fine job.
Well, thank you very much. Getting back to the subject at hand, which is you.
I don't like talking about me either.
Well, you're stuck with it for a little while longer. We're going to talk
Okay.
a little bit about your concert at Wild World again. Anyone who has just tuned in and didn't hear at the beginning us talking about it, of course, you will be in concert at Wild World. Actually, 3 concerts at 1:30 and at 3 o'clock and at 4 o'clock. And that will be limited
Yeah.
seating. Actually, 4:30 will be the last one.
4:30?
Yes, and it will be limited seating, so we're encouraging people to come and make sure that they get a seat. But what I was wondering about from you is telling a little bit about how your concerts go. Well, I've been to your concerts before, and most of them seem to be where everyone feels like they're just sitting in a big living room together. It's very informal, very relaxed. And so I'd like to hear you tell a little bit about your concept of
Okay.
that.
You've been to the band things and the solo things?
Yes.
Both? Well, the solo things, it's like I come out, it's hello, and, you know, I feel more comfortable in a solo context because really what I feel and everything I am is kind of just sort of comes through in that kind of situation. And I make things up, and I'll try songs I hadn't done in a long time, and I'll share, about my life, what I think, what I feel, and take chances. Sometimes off-the-cuff humor happens. Things I can't plan, really, because if I tried, it wouldn't be funny. Things happen, though, sometimes, and I'm not saying it's going to be funny and you're going to laugh, but come along and see what happens.
But you probably will, I'll tell you.
I don't know. It all depends if I get a good night's sleep, but I just think it's a good time. It's music, If you like music, and if you like acoustic music, and a guy who feels like I like to take chances, even with an acoustic guitar. It's not just strumming things, I try to make music, try to be creative with it, and bring a friend. Maybe you may know somebody from school or from camp, and they don't know the Lord, or they're bring them along. Maybe it might be good, not only for them but for you. It might be good for me too, and I plan on going. And
we're glad you're planning on being there.
Yes, and I appreciate the invitation to come. It's a long way to come. As you know, I live in California. But with the miracle of flying these days, you can get there in just a matter of hours, really. My brain is still in California, but my body is here. Too. I love you too. Right? Okay. But I want to say, like, here we are in the air. People are listening. There's probably hundreds listening at this time, right? I mean, literally hundreds.
Millions.
Millions and millions. Well, I don't know what to say, because it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us in here. 6, sorry.
But everyone with the car radio is out there. I think we're running out of time a little bit. I would like to close by talking about the new hymn project that we're about to play a selection from.
Yes.
Tell real quickly, give an introduction to the song we're about to play.
Okay. I was fortunate, folks, to be a part of a hymns album called Our Hymns that Word Records is putting out. And it's got Russ Taff and Amy Grant, Michael W. Smith, and Wayne Watson, First Call, and Petra. And a lot of these people, Take 6, and I can't remember if there's anybody else. There probably is other people. But I did a hymn, and the producer, Lauren Bauman, said, try this one. I'd like to hear something like a Bach Boré that goes into one of these hymns. And the hymn he had in mind was, Oh God, Our Help in Ages Past. And so I got together with Smitty Price, a friend of mine who plays keyboards. He worked with me on the Getting Closer album. And Smitty and Lauren and I sat down, we put our heads together. I went in the studio with some great players, and we came out with this, and it's a 7-minute piece. So if you're in traffic, just relax. I hope you enjoy this. Just turn your radio up and tweak your equalizer so you got a lot of bass. You can roll off the mid-range a bit and bring up the highs, and it should sound pretty good. I hope you enjoy. I hope it blesses you, because I think it's got heart, and I believe in the message of this hymn, because he is our shelter, from the stormy blast, as it were, and we can depend on Jesus. We can depend on the Lord. He's our help, in all circumstances.
Our refuge and our strength.
That's right, yeah.
Well, we're going to close with this, so I want to thank you for being with us today.
Well, you're
it's been
welcome.
Very much a pleasure, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you at Wild World tomorrow.
Thanks.
And I hope you who are listening to this are making your plans, if you haven't already, to be there tomorrow. Ticket information, once again, you can get by calling 249-1500. And now, let us close with this hymn from this brand new album.
Big black.
Oh.
Oh, gee, I was on video and all, and Okay. Oh, I blinked, I'm sorry.
His fingers will just blur here. Thanks, Lord.
Welcome to Career Concepts, a daily thought to instruct you in the most time-consuming task of life, your career. Stay tuned as Jeff Trotman, Executive Director of Intercristo and Career Development Professional, offers today's Career Concept.
The critical choices we make in life may be a more accurate reflection of what we believe than where we go on Sunday morning. In John 10:10, Jesus said, I've come to give you life and give it more abundantly. The good news is that the abundant life is found in a relationship, not a lifestyle. Now that's a wonderful thought to hear on Sunday morning, but it's a risk to live out on Monday morning. In Genesis 12, God offered a relationship to a man named Abram, a relationship that promised to bless him and make him a blessing. Abram had a comfortable life. He lived on the outskirts of a thriving city called Haran. It's 1342.
At 7:40, you're listening to WABS Sunlight 780. It's time now to go behind the scene. Today visiting with Terry Gibbs.
$20 a month can help provide life-giving food, clothing, medicine, and the assurance of Christ's love to one child in need. In dozens of nations, millions of children feel the raw ache of hunger.
This is from an album I did about 8 years ago. I'll play through me. It's called Morning Light. On a hill stands a... Well, anyway, what do you think? I hit this string that wasn't supposed to be there. It was early enough in the song I thought, oh, just back up and go do it again. Thank you. On a hill stands a cross still shining fair as the sun when the night has turned into day. Bright as day, still it shines. Bright as day. From the station, and it's called What a Day. This is an old one here.
see all the holy men I've read about. Peter and John, James, Luke and Paul, Brother Tom without a doubt. And I do believe it will be King David at the heart. Song of praise with every chord, walks like the sea, the redeemed, and the angels gather round, worshiping the Lord. What a day that will be! Oh, what a day that will be! When we get home, our eternal home, will be no more sick and dying. No one is sad, no one is alone. There will be no more crying, for He will wipe away every tear from His children's eyes, put a smile upon their faces. Oh, what a happy day when we see our Lord in paradise, crowned as King of Kings. Ooh, what a day that will be! Oh, what a day that will be! 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 I'd like to say a special thank you to Tom for allowing me to use his guitar and one of his little effects here. And I'm gonna, I don't know, it's tuned. Neither do you, so we're in this together. This is a piece from the Wind in the Weed album. It's called March of the Clouds. Let me just take a moment here. Okay, Ben, let's give it a try, see what happens.
It was scary at first. My ears just had to adjust to the tuning. And it's like anything, you know, whatever you get used to. It has sounded better. That's as close as How much time do I have? Anybody know? Somebody with a realistic picture. 12 minutes? 12 minutes? Guys requested. I don't know if I can remember it. That's me. There's a song called Be in Time. Life at best is very brief, like falling of a leaf, like the binding of a sheep in time. Fairest smile. Okay, what were the words there? You don't remember. You requested the song and you don't remember. Oh, that wasn't the song you asked for. Oh, well then I don't have to do it then, do I? Oh, wonderful. Okay, great. I'll go on to, pardon? I don't know your life. Was it a good one? Has it been a good life? Thank you. I'm glad I was doing the wrong song. Yeah, let me pick it up here for a moment, okay? This is a song by Randy Stonehill and myself we wrote together. About a year and a half ago. It's called Sunday's Child. Sunday's Child.